Let me be honest. I was honestly getting pretty mad with some of these 2025 releases. And since we're past the halfway point, we're after half Annie, and we got our first release of the second half of the year, for JP, of course, I want to talk about all these releases. Now, right now, if we check it, we're missing only Ino, Teen Shoko, Red Nanami, Yellow Dagon, and Choso on Global. And I mean, that's 4 releases, right? It's literally only 4 releases away since Dagon's free to play. And I want to talk about a tier list, and we're going to do this for the SP buffs and the new units, and I want your opinions. What do you think? You could literally skip to the end of this video. Just let me know what you agree with, what you disagree with in the comments, and what your favorite and most hated release of this year was, okay? So first of all, we got It Was Perfect. Perfect, down to the last minute detail. These units are the top of the top, the cream of the crop, okay? They are units that I'm so happy released, and I genuinely think these are the ones that made the year for me. Now, great releases are overall really solid that I either had fun with or were genuinely like overall pretty good. Not amazing, not necessary, but still very good. Now, this one, it's just okay. The units in the all right tier are really, I don't like how it's not centered. Hold on. Like, these units are ones I'm indifferent towards, and the ones below are ones that I think should not have released. First of all, these are going to be units that I think were either like sandwiched between very horrible releases, which we're going to talk about, or units that should have straight up released in a different color, because in the color they released in, they were ass. So that's kind of my thoughts on that. And these ones, throw them in the trash. Okay, throw them in the trash. That's my honest opinion on these. And I'm not going to lie, I'm forming these opinions on the go. So let's really get into this. We're going to start with the new units and then go into the SP buffs. She should not have released, okay? I was checking to see which SP buffs released, but she should not have released. I mean, they literally, hold on, I need to pull this up. This actually like actively pisses me off. So they release a counter unit, and then when there is a counter in the green floors, they make it so you can't counter and it becomes an AoE attack. What do you mean? What do you mean? Like, Miwa had no purpose of being released. In the green floor, guess what? The attacks for the green sweep unit was all AoE, so Miwa couldn't counter, and she doesn't have taunt that she could get actively, unlike blue Miwa. So what is she supposed to do? She fucking sucks. Like, they absolutely did not cook with this unit. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking with Green Miwa. Genuinely, I think one of the worst gacha releases I've ever seen, because they were trying to start some type of thing where you want to run, like, units of the same category on top of being mono. This shit was ass, and I'm happy they didn't stick this, because this would have been the worst thing to add to this game if they actually continued releasing units like this. Imagine you had to run the same unit, like Kyoto units, Tokyo units, right? Teachers, shit like that. It would have been horrible. Now, this unit, I really like. I think he was very fun on release, but he should have been either a different color or just released earlier. Why am I saying this? Well, let's just take a quick look at, I mean, yeah, let's look. So it was in January, we get this, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 months later, we got another green DPS that's Jujutsu. And why is this crazy? Because 2 green Jujutsu DPSs just released. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 in the span of half a year, a bit more, like from October to May. We got 4 Jujutsu DPSs, and he's on standard. But guess what? These guys are also on standard. So Muta is just a better hollow purple that doesn't leave. However, they just released 2 of these. And yes, he's AoE, but AoEs don't even matter. Like, bro, if we go to red, for example, red Nobara is almost like unanimously considered better than Yuta, for outright damaging. I'm not saying Yuta has his heals, but for outright DPS, Nobara does more, and she's single target. So it's like, and we're talking about on AoE floors too. So it's like, it doesn't matter if you're single target or AoE, just do the damage. But unfortunately, Muta was sandwiched between so many releases that really did not make him good. And I'm not saying, like, this is not a tier list saying like, oh, you're in horrible timing tier, oh, you're bad. No, he's a good unit. You could use him. I mean, I used him in my Shoko showcase. He's fun to use, but horrible timing, genuinely horrible timing. I don't know what they were thinking. Now, here we go. This one's gonna hurt some people, but yeah, Red Inumaki, it hurts me. He is great. That's the thing. He is great. But the thing is it clouds my judgment when I see he's pretty much just a dignified Arinumaki, right? That doesn't do much different except somehow end up being a bit worse because his CE costs to do damage are crazy. This costs 30 CE. If it was 20 curse energy and this would be 3 turns, I think he would have been much better. Much better. But unfortunately, it's not. Now, he's pretty good. However, not amazing. And also just, you want to run Arinumaki instead for multiple reasons. Number one, it's easier to get dupes with Arinumaki, so if you need to get 2 skill 2s in, you're able, right? That's something very important. Getting 2 skill 2s in a row with this guy could be very difficult, where for Arinumaki, you put the damage reduction memory and you could do it twice in a row immediately. So that's the one thing about SS Arinumaki that kind of sucks, I'm not gonna lie. It's very unfortunate, but he really does suck. Now, Yellow Shoko. I do have my opinions on Shoko, right? I think the problem overall is Yellow in its entirety, but I cannot dismiss that she is overall very good, right? I have my gripes with her. I've already talked about them. I've been pretty vocal about me hating Shoko's heals. I feel like a lot of people don't really look into it. And yeah, Shoko's able to heal, right? I just think that she came at an awkward time where it was before the half anti power creep. And then after that, I'm just looking at it. Every unit has had no CE problems, right? And this is also including the SP buffs. Kamo literally does not lose CE, right? Kamo, where's Kamo? And then it's like the other units are also pretty good. Junpei is still fucking good. Like all these units that release after, they have less CE problems. That's Shoko's only problem. CE management in some cases if you need to heal. But I think the main problem for me with Yellow right now is the DPS. It's very funny. But Zonji was just not worth summoning on in retrospect. Like you would have either gotten by with Tinjo or we should have waited for the next unit, which I'm not going to lie, Choso should have been Yellow, but I digress. But Shoko's great. Like if you have Shoko, Tower is going to become way easier. She's definitely, could she have been a bit better? Yes. However, when I'm comparing her to Teen Shoko, the thing is with Teen Shoko, she's less needed for green because green's already so good, where Yellow Shoko is more needed for yellow. So she is an amazing release. Now, next up, Blue Maki. I actually really like Blue Maki. I hate on Mark a lot. He is the he is the Maki guy in the Discord, the fan Discord, but she's actually really good. Like her damage outside of ult is really good, right? 450% into a 600% with good multipliers, right? Because usually the way it works is you use the skill 1, you get, I think, the crit rate. I'm pretty sure you get the crit rate. I think so. I'm like 99% sure you start with getting the crit rate. But I kind of forgot. It's been a while since I've used her. Damn, I'm a fraud. But yeah, so you start with the skill 1. Then you get the flying kunai. Then you go into the skill 2. You get the taijutsu. Then you go into the skill 3. You get the crit damage increase, I think. Yeah, you get the crit damage. Then you go into ult. And it's a 1200 ult. With guaranteed extra crit damage, and then also the taijutsu. Like her self buffs are pretty good. She's able to do her own stuff, and running her with some of these other units are good. So I think she's an overall really good release. Also, she's one of the only units that actually has a purpose. I think it's 74. That like, where's 74? 74. Is it 74? I'm pretty sure. Yeah, because only taijutsu DPS could really be used in this. I mean, I guess you could obviously make Sukuna work because he does do taijutsu on his skill 2. But no, Maki's actually very good. And now also Maki with Blue Yuji, I saw them clear floor 70 like it was no one's business, right? Especially with Yuji getting the taijutsu buff, it's way better, especially because there's no taijutsu buffer right now, or Jujutsu buffer for Blue. So above floor 70, right, on 74, also, Blue Yuji is very good. Where is he? Because he gets in total like 150, I think it's 140, but it's 150, I guess, taijutsu increase, which is better than a damage increase. And putting this with Maki, alongside this, right, it's very good. I think they work very well together. I really like Maki overall. She's a good release. Now, she sucks. Horrible timing, horrible release, horrible fucking unit. I despise her with all my heart, but more so I despise Sumzap for the horrible timing. She releases in April. Okay. She releases in April, and then a bit later, she was in March, sorry, end of March. And then a bit later, they released Tower, and I'm like, okay, I guess it's going to be single target. She's going to be pretty good in single target. Most floors are AoE. And even the floors that are single target, well, they released Nobara around that time frame. She sucks. Nobara is better than her single target. And then for AoE, you have Yuta, you have Toji, then you have Red Yuji for the Taijutsu floors, or if you just want to use a Taijutsu unit. Mei has no spot. Single target, there's 2 units that are free, technically, because they're on standard and better. Red Yuji, when he gets his SP, is going to completely destroy Mei. And Mei, why is she releasing, right? I think if we got a Wee that like specifically buffed Mei more, like maybe if it was like if with a Mei, Wee himself like does 200% more damage and gives Mei an extra 100%. Like if they released an SR Wee specifically for Mei, I actually would not have mind. But they didn't do that, and she sucks. So I'm waiting for that SR Wee or SSR to just specifically buff Mei more, but be good overall for a red team, and that's going to be what I'm waiting for. Because I think like they need to either give Mei the craziest SP buffs or something. And what is her problem? Well, let's actually talk about it, because I mean it's pretty clear. So number 1, it's the self buffs for 3 turns, and her ult being 400% taijutsu. If it was 1800 jujutsu, she would have been way better. And the main reason is because it multiplies so much more with just a 400% difference. It would have been way better. So we have to keep that in mind. And also damage dealt increase on a team with Domain Gojo is crazy. Okay, I mean, it's not bad, but none of this is multiplying. I think what she needed is this to be jujutsu, most likely. Yeah, I would say so. And you might say, oh, it doesn't matter. But what if you're running Pride, right? That's the thing. Now, you could say, oh, but multiplying. But then you have the skill 1 to allow you to multiply with Pride. So I think that Pride would have been great if you could have ran this. And then this would have been the skill you use after the ultimate. And it would have done a lot more damage. It being Taijutsu does hurt her quite a bit. And this, like, she should have not been mixed at all. Mixed units always get the short end of the stick. Just look at Blue Nanami. He is mixed, right? I feel like I'm talking out of my ass because I've never used him. I got him recently. Yeah, he's mixed. Okay. So yeah, no, I think Mei just sucks. They really did not think at all while making her, you know. Okay, I need to think. Like I said, I didn't do the tier before. So he could not have been green. Could not have been red. They tried with, you know. I just don't think they succeeded. He was quite close to greatness, but if his ult was maybe like 1500%, I think he would have been great. Like, he just needed more damage on the ult and the skill 3. Like, this should have been like 700% times 2. Because his other multipliers and all that are just not that crazy. Like, you have to keep in mind, Zonji's Black Flashing, which is why his damage is so high. It's very hard to also lower Black Flash damage. But his Black Flash damage is very high. Like, this is a great multiplier. Because even if it is 500, or sorry, wrong skill. Even if it is 680, it is 680, right? Yeah, he has the Black Flash, which is why it's so high. And then even on the ult, Ino doesn't have that. I think, you know, overall is a very bad release. Probably is just not that good, right? Also considering everything, especially with what we're getting, like just looking at it, Jogo, like fucking incredible. Kamo, incredible. Yuji, really good for DPSing. And the sub DPSs are so good to where Ino has no place for a dual DPS comp, because I'd rather run every other unit over him for a dual DPS comp, being Ghetto, Kamo, Megumi, Jogo, Itadori now too. So I really think he has no spot, especially because if you look at the discrepancy between Ino and the 2 blue units before him, Sukuna, like if we're making Ino Jujutsu, he should have also been supporting in some way. If his damage was the same but he was supporting, I think he would have been like fantastic. Like he would have been moved up to here if he was giving blue stats, but he doesn't. So that is unfortunate and he sucks. Now, Gojo, I have my gripes with him. Now, why do I have my gripes? Because he wasn't needed. Let's look. 1 DPS, 2 DPS, 3 DPS, 4 DPS, 5 DPS, 6 DPS, 7 DPS. He's a great release because he's actually really fun and gonna be incredible for sweep in the future because you literally just spam. I have a lot of fun with him, but he is not perfect. The main reason is we did not need a green Jujutsu unit after getting 3. We either needed the other green Jujutsus to be better or for him to be probably yellow. Now the thing is, you might be like, oh, but there's already a yellow Tinjo. but there's also a green holo purple. So what's up with that, right? Honestly, as of right now, he could not have been blue, obviously. He could have been red. I think he could have been red because Mei sucked. Red Gojo, I mean, I guess they wanted to make sure Domain Gojo didn't become obsolete. So they really fucked themselves over. And the thing is, because he's a Gojo, he goes into great and not perfect because there's too many Gojos. I think he's still a very fun release, but genuinely not crazy. That's the thing. So yeah, I really do think that Gojo is good. He's fun, but overall not as crazy as Shoko, who is perfect. Why is Shoko perfect? Well, she could be used with all of these units, right? Gojo, well, the problem is he takes the spot of another DPS that you may have even summoned for, like Megumi or Nobara. And because of that, or Muta, right? And I mean, Yuji is great single target, and you don't really need to use Gojo for 67. Yuji works just fine. So Shoko being able to work with every single one of these units and help all of these units is great. Now, why I'm saying this, and let's talk about it. These two specifically, since they're both able to be duped out now, Shoko's literally healing them for like almost 20k HP, which is crazy. Like a 20k heal on a skill is insane. Shoko also has no CE problems. Her rotation costs only 40 CE if you loop the ult into that. I think she is a phenomenal unit. I think they did a very good job with her. And every one of her skills is good. Her skill 1 gives CE. Her skill 2 gives... Wait, her skill 2... That's the heal, right? No, her skill 2 gives the insane buffs, makes it so she can't be targeted. Her skill 3 gives her the heals, right? And then her ult heals and gives buffs. And then twice, she gives stealth status, damage reduction, and heal. So compared to Yellow Shoko, she's more tanky in a way. And also, it's harder to hit her, which is great when you consider every other unit on that team has dupes, right? Green Saki, green Ghetto. All these units are going to have dupes because they're on standard now to where Shoko heals, but then these other units are not going to die because they have so much HP. And in a case like if you run Saki, this is such a good combo because she taunts, she heals, and you don't need much heals in green, which is why it works so much and why I kind of wish a yellow Shoko either had more survivability, more HP, or more heals for the team. That's my one thing where green works so well with the other units to where it's yellow's, she's just kind of carrying the team, if that makes sense. Green is very synergistic to where yellow is kind of throwing everyone together because this is the only release of 2025. So yellow needs more units. If we check, look how full green is. Green's going to be full to here with Choso. Look at blue, look at red, and then yellow, right? And red barely got any 2025 units, but they're still very good because all these units before are great, where yellow, yes, the previous units are good, but there's a bit of a gap that Red Nanami filled for red, and also there's Domain Gojo, where yellow doesn't have that fucking insane level unit. None of these guys are in the top tier. Like, none of these guys are in tier 0 anymore. Am I missing someone? No. I mean, besides Shoko, right? And she's the only 2025 release. So that's the difference between these two. I just need to keep on talking about it. They're both great. But Shoko's more so, yellow Shoko is more so brute forcing, where Teen Shoko is working alongside the other units, which is why I rather Teen Shoko. Now, Nanami, he could get his own tier. He's literally perfect. And the best part is for floor 80. He literally works because floor 80 is debuff floor, right? That's the thing. Where is it? Yeah. No, where is it? Yeah. No, where the fuck is it? Yeah, because it's debuff lower. That's the thing. Debuff lower, not buff lower. So Red Nanami works for those floors and the lower floors. So this guy's insane. His CE is maybe the best managed in the game. And his damage is quite good. But it's mainly that he's going to work if Domain Gojo has his damage lowered, or his debuffs lowered, right? Nanami, I think, is just fantastic. They did a phenomenal job with him. Now... So, Dagon, he is horrible. Horrible release. I just don't know, like, okay, if we're looking at this, it's not horrible timing for Dagon. There was no other time to release him. That would have been good, no matter what. And should have been another color. No other color would have needed what he does. I think they did a horrible job with him. Maybe he doesn't need to be unreleased. Need major SP buffs. Please, 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 please. Dagon falls into the second. Because, like, Miwa with SP buffs, if she gets a taunt, she's insane. Inumaki, if he has more CE, he could be insane. Mei, if she has better multipliers, she could be insane. You know, if he gets some types of buffs for the team, he could be insane. Dagon needs one thing, and that's a taunt. That's it. That's all he needs. What's crazy is if you check here, what do they promote him as? Stun, heal, damage reduction, and then damage reduction, and then dot, right? So let's see. Utility, and then some damage. Mainly, it's 4 things about utility, 2 things about damage. So in my head, I don't know about y'all, but in my head, I'm thinking, okay, he's going to be a damage reduction unit. Also, because that's kind of how he is in the game, in the anime, right? No, they make him to where he has a 2000% ult. But the problem with that is if it was outright 2000%, it would be good. However, a lot of the damage is done over 6 turns. Where is it, bro? I'm so lost. I'm actually so lost. I wish it was in the wiki, but like it's a 6 turn, 200% per turn. And that's great. The problem is the buffs aren't going to last 6 turns. Shoko doesn't have that type of CE. Degumi doesn't have that domain time. And Yaga's not putting out that type of CE either, right? Those 6 turns aren't going to be insane. So when you're comparing it to someone like Sukuna, who ults and gets those dots in very good and in time, right? He's doing this over 6 turns. So most of the damage is not going to be multiplied by the buffs, and that's horrible. And then his damage reduction, sure, it's cool, but it's not necessary because first of all, he's free to play. So you're going to give him dupes to where he's going to have enough HP. And second of all, if you're going to give him damage reduction, give him some way to taunt, right? Like if you're going to be a DPS, you either have to be able to be better or on par with Tinjo Zonji, which he's not. He's not. Or be a good sub DPS like Mekamaru providing taunt counter. So first of all, giving enough damage while providing utility. So maybe I was thinking a green Saki, right? A green Saki for yellow, but that's not what he was. They made him a mediocre DPS. And why would you run that over Tinjo, right? Tinjo, you could literally dupe out for free now with the dupes on standard for the exchange shop. So there's no point in Dagon's release because they want him to be in that DPS slot. And in the sub DPS slot, he sucks because you're basically relying on RNG, on top of RNG to get those stuns. And that just sucks ass. So I think that Dagon was a horrible release. And then Choso should have been a different color. So we know enough about Choso. And people are going to say, no, but yes. So if we check here, sure, it's 30 CE, but this is the wrong skill, but he gives himself some good damage increases, right? Jujutsu increase, Taijutsu increase, damage increase, right? You can have some good damage reduction too, which is really good, especially in green. But the thing is, 200% damage increase is great. He's going to be amazing for green, right? Green doesn't have an SSR damage increase unit. So for me, like, especially in the higher floors and in the future, Choso's going to be great, especially in sweep for the sweep update. He's going to be good. He's actually going to be good, especially in the state. It seems like he's going to get every turn, he's going to get 5 CE. So this is going to really help this and make it cost only technically, it's going to feel like it's 15 cursed energy. And when you count the ult into this, I think considering this, we all understand that he is going to have amazing CE, especially because his skill 1 is also good because he's still giving a damage increase even on his skill 1. Even on downtime, he could still give a damage increase. Now, the problem is he's green. If we check here, green has gotten so much love since October, and it's like also more love here, and then also he could be duped out now. Green is in the best state, so why are we continuing to give it love when blue needs a stat buffer, red needs a new DPS, and yellow needs a new DPS. And maybe some more updated supports, or maybe an SP buff, right? If we look at it, green is in a spot where you don't need to give them anything else. But they did. If he was simply yellow, he would have been so much better, right? I think he would have been so much better. They could have made either a red Nanami as yellow. They could have done Teen Nanami but for yellow, where he's a damage buffer, which would have been very good because Degumi does damage debuff, and then Choso could have been a damage buff, which would have filled out everything, right? And the worst part is there is a Momo, an SR Momo, sure, that does do damage buffs for green. So when you consider that, I think green was at least right now would have been bad timing because we just got, for anniversary, we did all of May for green. And then we did red. And now what? We're going back to green? Like if we check it out, green is the most consistent color on this list that's getting good units. 1, 2, 3, 4 good units in 2025 when there's only been 5, 12, like 5 out of the 12 units are green. That's crazy. That's absolutely insane. Also considering they've gotten the best SP buffs this year, like, okay, I know green at the beginning of the year needed a lot of help, but we're getting to be too much help to where I would have rathered a yellow DPS. And why would I rather that? Well, guess what? Tinjo is a year old, over a year old. I am fine if they replace him by Choso. I think people would have summoned it for a yellow Jujutsu Choso. No matter if it was a sub DPS Jujutsu Choso that does jet damage buffs, I think that would have been absolutely perfect. But no, we're back to green again. When it could have been a blue, like, especially after Nanami, they could definitely do a sub DPS buffer, which Choso could have been, right? He could have been. So I really think they fumbled because anything else would have been better. Red Jujutsu DPS, because guess when the last one was? Well, Mei, but she sucks. So for being real, Nobara, which was February 2024, I think, which is a while ago. So I would have been fine with another Jujutsu DPS. I would have been fine with another yellow DPS. I would have been fine with a yellow sub DPS damage buffer. I would have been fine with a blue stat buffer, but nothing about green. Green, I'm not gonna lie, I'm very happy that Choso is gonna, I'm excited, not happy, I'm excited for Choso green, because now I'm gonna fucking sweep the content. Guys, you run green Ghetto, green Gojo, Honored One Gojo, Teen Shoko, and then Choso, you're destroying everything. You got damage buffs, you got stat buffs, and you got stat debuffs, and Choso with how he's looking seems also to be doing good damage because he gives himself self buffs. If his multipliers aren't absolute dog shit, if it's like 1200% alt, even just 1200%, with what he's doing, he's going to be insane. So I think he's great, especially with his CE. Getting 5 CE every turn for 4 turns is going to be huge. But still, could have been better. Sorry, not better. He is perfectly fine. Should have been another color. That's what I think. Then that's all for the releases. Now let's get into the SP buffs. Going to be more quick. He's okay. Megumi's decent, but there's so many other blue units. He's okay. Toto, I just think, I mean, he's also okay. I think he's all right. He's taijutsu, so I think he was needed a little bit more. Honestly, yeah, no, he was needed a little bit more because he is taijutsu, so there is that. Yuji is perfect. Okay, they made an amazing unit out of Yuji for sweep, for tower, floor 67, Yuji can clear. Nanami is, I mean, we'll say horrible timing, should have been another color, or just not necessary, okay? I would definitely say that he's just not necessary. He's pretty good. I mean, nah, he's all right. He's actually all right. He could do some good stuff. I think on 67? No, it was 63. He can do some... Nah, I'm feeling this. I'm feeling that. He's just not necessary because Yuji exists, right? So many units in green exist where Nanami wasn't necessarily needed. If he was more of a debuffer, that would have been fine because he does give 30% taijutsu increase, but it's only one thing. Like, if he was giving a little more, I think it would have been good, but it wasn't necessary. Maki, I mean, there's literally... Reggie is still better, just not needed. Horrible. Just really not good. Panda... not necessary. I mean, you could use them. I've seen some things, but not needed. Yellow Nobara is all right. I definitely think if we look at it, especially because she was so close to Tinjo coming out in standard, I don't think it was needed, but she's not a horrible release. She's only really needed for sweep. I'm just not that crazy about her. Now, Mekamaru is a great release as a sub DPS, absolutely phenomenal. I think they did a really good job with him. Just giving the taunt counter combo, it always works. It always works. Now, Red Nobara, amazing. Just became such a good DPS because you could use the skill 3 twice. What I mean by that is how she works now is you skill 3, you're able to alt, which reapplies a nail count, and then after you could reskill 3 for 25 CE instead of needing 50 CE both times, and then being able to use your CE much more effectively because instead of 50 CE, it's only going to take 25, which works so much better. Also because she does get a bit more damage buff and gets more CE here, where before I think, yeah, it was only Jujutsu and CE, so it does work, in my opinion, better. The skill 3 afterwards does more damage and costs less. I think it's great, because you might need to use 100 CE in 2 turns, where now you don't need to. Pretty good, pretty good. They did a good job. Saki, also perfect. We could also remove this now. Saki, amazing. The taunt, like I said, Taunt, damage reduction, taunt, counter combo. One of those two works phenomenal, and they made Saki actually be able to do a lot of good damage. She does about 1/4 of the team damage, and also considering the team she's on, it's very hard for green to lose when Saki's on the team unless you just don't do enough damage in time. If you give Saki even just one dupe or even two for the CE, obviously, then Saki is phenomenal. Now, Jogo as a free-to-play unit is also perfect. I cannot hate on him. They did a very good job with Jogo because he's free to play and able to clear sweep, able to clear some tower. Really, really good. This batch of SP is the best to ever exist. Now, Junpei, I think he's pretty good. I'm more inclined to put him in all right. But the thing is, Junpei's already pretty good. He has his uses, but now I think he does gain some uses, which is nice. I definitely think they did a good job with him, but he's just okay. I don't think he's insane, but I definitely think he's much better now because he gives the team damage reduction for 2 turns, the whole turns, not just one time, and also gives some stat buffs. And sure, he could do some extra damage, but I think it's mainly the buffs that he gives are great. Kamo, absolutely phenomenal. The main reason is because if you think about it, if you don't have Ghetto and Inumaki, well, you're still fine because Kamo exists and you're able to get him duped out for free, which is great. Absolutely wonderful. And Yuji goes into a great release. I think he's actually wonderful if you're using it with another type of DPS besides Sukuna, obviously. But if you're using that with Jogo, if you're using that with Kamo, Ghetto, not Ghetto actually because he gives Jujutsu, not Taijutsu. If you're using with Inumaki, Maki, Kamo, or Jogo, I think you're in for business because of the fact that now he's going to give himself Taijutsu buff, which is great if you consider that the only buff that you're going to have is Momo. So because of that, on the mono floors, obviously, that means that Yuji's providing the multiplicative buffs needed to where his damage is not going to be completely ass for now. So until there's a blue stat buffer, Yuji is definitely going to be quite good as a sub DPS, and that finishes off the list. I'm pretty happy with this. These are the worst releases of 2025, and what do you know? That's 2 Shibuya units, and then what do you know? There's another 2 Shibuya units here. They don't like Shibuya units. Choso is the first one that has a use, because he has a part on the team. The problem is he should have been another color. These units are okay. These are honestly pretty good releases. In terms of Taijutsu, since there's a Taijutsu floor, Blue Toto is not a complete 0, but these are my favorite releases of 2025 so far. All have a special place in my heart. Shoko was like the light in the darkness because of how bad the couple months were before and after. And then, once we really got to these SP buffs for Mei onwards, it was pretty good. We're doing good. Like, the SP buffs are great. I think they're really doing a good job with all the units that are coming out. The problem is, the more recent ones. But if we look at this, first of all, Shibuya units are in the dumpster, like, complete ass. And then they're also making a lot of the new units ass. Because if we look at this, sure, there's Maki, but then there's 5 new units that are just complete zeros, which is very unfortunate. So this is my list. Let me know if you agree, disagree. I think I made myself pretty clear, honestly. I'm pretty happy with this list. I think it's pretty indicative of my feelings. I'm going to go more in depth into a Dagon Choso video since that's the July units. Besides that, I actually still cannot wait for Choso because Choso's going to make tower very easy for green and also sweep in the future. Dude, I can't wait. But it's just that he's not needed. He's great. He's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing. Bro, 200% damage increase is insane. Momo's good, and she gives 120 as a buffer. This guy's a sub DPS debuffer, right? So, and keep in mind, damage received buff or debuff is the same thing. They're not multiplicative. They are additive with each other, so you only need one or the other. And him being a sub DPS and also working where skill 1 is still good, I think he's amazing for that as a standard unit. But for green, I definitely think they could have cooked harder. So yeah, this is my list. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Have a good day. Bye-bye.